Well, welcome to another unit. This unit is going to be about marriage, one of my favorite subjects. So, what does the Bible tell us? What makes a good marriage? What are the do's and don'ts for a good marriage? So, I hope we learn a lot of good English in this unit. Let's get started. 1 Corinthians 7:3. Let the husband give his wife the affection owed her, and likewise also the wife her husband. So we have affection, affection, affection. This is gently showing you like someone. What a great word, affection. So if we put it together, let the husband give to his wife gentleness, showing that he likes his wife, and likewise also the wife, her husband. Affection. But this I say by way of concession, not of commandment. Concession, concession, concession. This is granted in response to a demand. Concession. Commandment, commandment, commandment. So if we remember back to creation, Genesis 1 and 2, we have this word commanded. This is not a request, but an order. Do this now. So a commandment is just a formalized command. And if you remember, we have the 10 commandments. And remember that these commandments are commandments, not suggestions. They're the 10 commandments, not the 10 suggestions. Commandment. But this I say by way of responding to your demand, not of ordering you to do it. Concession and commandment. Husbands, love your wives and don't be bitter against them. Bitter, bitter, bitter. If we remember from the unit on jealousy, bitter means angry or hurt over unjust treatment. Bitter. Husbands, love your wives and don't be angry or hurt over unjust treatment against them. The idea of bitter. Fathers, don't provoke your children so that they won't be discouraged. Provoke, provoke, provoke. This is caused to have a strong, usually negative emotion. Provoke. Discouraged, discouraged, discouraged. This is losing enthusiasm or confident. So something bad happens, why bother? So you lose your self-confidence. Discouraged. Fathers, don't cause your children to have negative emotions so that they won't be losing enthusiasm or confidence. So the idea of provoke and discouraged. Great piece of advice for fathers. Let's not be so harsh with our children that they become discouraged. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ also is the head of the assembly, being himself the Savior of the body. A Savior, 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 Savior. This is someone who saves from danger. a savior. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ also is the head of the assembly, being himself the person who saves the body from danger. So the idea of a savior, rescuing from danger. Sometimes we all need that. That he might present the assembly to himself gloriously, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without defect. So we have this word defect, defect, defect. This is an imperfection. So if you say it's without defect, nothing is wrong with it. A defect. They use this in the Old Testament when they used to sacrifice animals. It had to be an animal without defect, an animal with nothing wrong with it, a defect or a lack of defect. That he might present the assembly to himself gloriously, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without anything wrong with it. Defect. For no man ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes it and cherishes it, even as the Lord also does the assembly. Nourishes, nourishes, nourishes. This is provide with what you need to live well, right? We have this sometimes in advertisements or talking about eating. It nourishes the body. And sometimes we use nourishes to nourish the mind, right? Have good thoughts. Or sometimes nourish the soul, who you actually are. So the idea of nourishes, giving you what you need to live well. Then we have cherishes, cherishes, cherishes. This means to care and protect someone with love. So if you cherish them, you protect them, care, and love them, right? Like some people cherish their dog. Their dog is like part of the family. So they care for that dog and protect that dog. And they do it with love. So the idea of cherishes. To be probably more honest, the dog more cherishes us. The dog tries hard to care for us and protect us and to love us. So cherishes. For no man ever hated his own flesh, but provides it with what it needs to live well and cares and protects it, even as the Lord also does the assembly. So the idea of nourishes and cherishes. By the way, I hope you're enjoying these pictures. Since it's about marriage, I try to make these pictures quite beautiful, all about flowers and places to sit and just wonderful places to be. So I hope you're enjoying these pictures as much as I enjoyed taking them and editing them and enjoying them myself. Proverbs 4:23. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it is the wellspring of life. So we have the word diligence, diligence, diligence. This means to keep working on it all the time. Like here we have this beautiful garden. So I'm sure they're keeping this with due diligence, right? Constantly pulling weeds and watering and make sure this garden stays beautiful. So this shows diligence. The wellspring of life, the wellspring of life, wellspring of life. This is kind of the source of all that we do. So the wellspring of life. Keep your heart with all you're working on it all the time. For out of it is the source of all that we do. So they say the heart is the source of all that we do. Diligence, wellspring of life. Proverbs 10:19. In the multitude of words, there is no lack of disobedience, but he who restrains his lips does wisely. Restrains, restrains, restrains. From the unit of Noah's Ark, we learn that restrain means keep from continuing. So restrained. In the multitude of words, there is no lack of disobedience, but he who keeps from continuing his lips does wisely. Know when to be quiet. Great words of advice for marriage. Proverbs 11:2. When pride comes, then comes shame, but with humility comes wisdom. Shame, shame, shame. This just means feeling bad because you did something wrong. You kind of want to hide your head, right? You look downcast and upset, feeling bad. You did something wrong. Humility, humility, humility. From our unit on jealousy, we learn that humble means thinking lowly of yourself. That's in opposition to pride, which is thinking highly, too highly of yourself. Humility. When pride comes, then comes feeling bad because you did something wrong. But with thinking lowly of yourself comes wisdom. Proverbs 13:3. He who guards his mouth guards his soul. One who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. Ruin, ruin, ruin. This is destruction or falling apart. That's why I chose this picture. These locks, especially in Korea, is you put a lock on to show that you're in a relationship, right? And so there's locks like this, usually on bridges. But here we have on this, this area here. And you see the locks are all rusting. They're being destroyed and they're falling apart. So that's the idea of ruin. The relationship started off well, but now it's falling apart. He who guards his mouth guards his soul. One who opens wide his lips comes to destruction and falling apart. Again, these great words about marriage, right? Guarding your mouth. Don't just say everything that comes into your head, right? You don't want to come to destruction and falling apart. Proverbs 18:22. Whoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of Yahweh. Obtains, obtains, obtains. This just means to get something, right? So if you say, I want to obtain wealth, I want to get wealth. If I want to obtain knowledge, I want more knowledge, just getting something. Obtain. Whoever finds a wife finds a good thing and gets favor of Yahweh. I've certainly found this to be true. I happen to find a good wife. And so if you find a wife, it is a really good thing to find. Doesn't mean it's bad to be single. Single is great too. But whoever finds a wife finds a good thing. Proverbs 21:19. It is better to dwell in a desert land than with a contentious and fretful woman. Dwell, dwell, dwell. This is just where you live. Where do you dwell? Where do you live? We have this word contentious, contentious, contentious. This is always ready to start a fight, right? Always ready to fight. So that means contentious. That's why I showed such a dark, scary photo. But there's a nice flower behind it. Contentious. Fretful, fretful, fretful. This is always irritated or angry. Just below the surface. You're always angry. So that's the idea of fretful. It is better to live in a desert land than with a fighting and irritated woman. So the last passage was it's good to find a good wife. But here, not so great to find a fighting and irritated woman. So we have contentious and fretful. Iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens his friend's countenance. Countenance, countenance, countenance. This is simply your facial expression, your countenance, how you look at on your face. Iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens his friend's facial expression. Proverbs 28:22. A stingy man hurries after riches and doesn't know that poverty waits for him. So we have stingy, stingy, stingy. This just means doesn't want to spend money, right? Never spends money on anything. And by the way, poverty down here means you completely run out of money, right? We say living on the street. You've completely lost your money. So poverty. A never spending money man hurries after riches and doesn't know that poverty waits for him. So the idea here is spend a little money. Don't overspend. Don't go to poverty. Proverbs 29:11. A fool vents all of his anger, but a wise man brings himself under control. Vents, vents, vents. Says freely without thinking. Vents. Control, control, control. This just means you decide how to react. You're in control, not the circumstance, not what's happening. Control. So we've had this verse before, and it goes like this. A fool says freely without thinking all his anger, but a wise man brings himself under his decision how to react. So the idea of venting and being under control. You don't need to be angry all the time. control your anger. Titus chapter 2, verse 3. And that older women likewise be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, nor enslaved to much wine, teachers of that which is good. Reverent, reverent, reverent. That means deep respect. You really respect, your elders and, maybe the office of president or whatever it is. You live a life of respect. Slanderers, slanderers, slanderers. This is saying something damaging and untrue. So not just damaging, it's untrue. I could tell the truth, and it could be damaging, but it's the truth. But this is untrue. And that older women likewise be respectful in behavior, not saying something damaging and untrue, nor enslaved to much wine, teachers of that which is good. The idea of reverent and slanderers. So there we have it. Many good things about how to have a happy marriage. Don't be angry all the time. Don't be fretful. All these great words. I hope you got some good things from all of this. A lot of these are just great pieces of advice. I hope if you're single, you're very happy being single. Great to be single. If you're married, I hope your marriage is going very well and you can put some of these into practice. So if you're single, if you're married, you still can put these kind of ideas into practice. So I hope we learned a lot of English today and you're as excited as I am to learn English. So hope you enjoy the Bible as your textbook for learning English. Really enjoyed teaching. Hope you've enjoyed learning. See you next time. Bye.